I'm Glenn Rollins. I'm publisher and owner of Brush Education in Edmonton, a higher education publishing house, and owner of Freehand Books in Calgary, a literary publisher. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about copyright in Canada from the point of view of a small, independent, Alberta-based book publisher. I'll start by describing what publishers do. We're not printers. We play a similar role to that of producers in the world of movies. We work with teams of people to bring new works into being in the best way possible, and then we bring them to the biggest audiences possible. In other words, we create intellectual property, or IP, as risk investors, and then we recover our investment by selling or licensing that property to people who want to use it or enjoy it. If we get this process right, then we get to do it all over again with other projects. Copyright is the system of national law and international treaties that protects this form of IP, and it's the essential infrastructure of publishing. A new original work is protected by copyright as soon as it comes into existence, and under Canadian law, it continues to be protected until 70 years after the author's death. Copyright gives the author control of important things, including copying and communicating to the public, and the author can license this control to others, such as publishers. Today, it's important for me to speak about a 2012 change to our Copyright Act that has had detrimental impacts to the Canadian book publishing industry. At that time, the Canadian government of the day overhauled our Copyright Act to bring it up to date in a rapidly changing media world. Many of the issues it dealt with were related to increased access. For example, digital rights management, classroom display, limits to penalties for infringement, and other measures. It also amended fair dealing, which is an exception that allows for the use of copyrighted materials without permission or payment under certain circumstances. The amended act included education, one word that encompasses so much, as a purpose for fair dealing. As a result, most of the entire education sector outside of Quebec ended their practice of buying collective licenses to copy portions of books and other copyright-protected resources not covered by other licenses, and instead claimed those uses for free. By the end of 2015, they made a coordinated move to a shared arbitrary copyright or copying policy, which they claimed, with no authority and no negotiation, represented the new limits of fair dealing. In other words, uncompensated copying. With the support of the courts, they rejected the authority of our national tribunal, the Copyright Board, to impose those licenses. In 2021, the Supreme Court declined to offer an opinion on whether this new copying policy was fair. It ruled that Copyright Board decisions were not mandatory, and it left it to the government to clarify the situation if it wanted to. That's where things still stand now. The results at this stage of the saga: publishers and authors have lost hundreds of millions of dollars in certified tariffs set by the Copyright Board before that court decision, and they're left with a broken marketplace where they are required to attempt to sell works in competition with those same works being copied for free. Except in Quebec, where schools, universities, and colleges still pay a few dollars per student per year to compensate authors and publishers for the valuable work that we do. Quebec understands that access to those works depends on compensation. Access and compensation reinforce each other. In comparison to the rest of Canada, Quebec's authors and publishers thrive. Other provinces have the opportunity to learn from Quebec's balance of access and compensation. Since 2012, Canada's copyright regime has led to the loss of more than a third of the jobs in Canadian publishing, more than 4,000, and the decline of the GDP contribution of the book industry by more than 20%. Authors' incomes have tumbled from low to lower. Crucial engines of national values and culture have been blocked at the source. That's the real shame of our copyright chaos: loss of national stories and our own culture in our schools, libraries, and bookstores. Ironically, our sectors are put into squabbles with each other when we are naturally allies in reading, education, and culture. Canadian publishers are looking for the right kind of balance in copyright, where compensation reinforces access and access reinforces compensation. While authors and publishers don't always agree, we do agree on this. So our provincial and national organizations work together for legal change that will support the work we do together for Albertans, Canadians, and the world. We also recognize that we need to work with libraries, archives, schools, and universities in this same spirit.